Hey guys, Sundown here. This is going to be my chapter review to One Piece 988. Sorry for the wait. And yeah, I am a little bit late for this, but the reason why, apart from sheer laziness, has been because I wanted to sit on this One Piece chapter for a bit, really mull over whether I liked it or not, and I've come to the conclusion that I am not a big fan of this chapter, and I can go into reasons why. Considering the hype ending of the last chapter, this one was incredibly short, 12 pages, and really didn't progress the action that much, nor the story any further, really. I mean, like, we got a matchup in Sanji versus King, but besides that, nothing really happened, which I thought, oh, that's new, or that's pretty crazy, or that makes me understand something more, makes me think about something more. It was kind of just a disappointing chapter, and I'm not too happy with the fact that we have a break after a chapter like this too, where there's not much more to expect beyond what I was expecting for this chapter, which we didn't really get. So the first scene, let's call it Sulong. In this first scene, Kaido acknowledges the fact that the Minks can indeed turn into this moon lion form that they refer to as Sulong. Jack arrives at the top of the Onigashima skull with quite a sizable force, quite a large host, including another number by the name of Nangi. And this is the number for 7. I think is that higher than the last one we saw? I forgot what the last one's name was. But once again, he looks like the least threatening, possibly threatening character I've ever seen in my life. I'm just like, really? Is this is the number? And I'm really hoping that Oda pulls out some really interesting either origin stories or kind of, giving us an idea of what the backstories are for these characters and powers for the numbers, because their designs so far ain't so great. I'm not a big fan. They've been hyped up so much and they simply don't look very interesting at all. They just look like they look like those characters that are going to get one shot by the Straw Hat crew, and I'm just gonna, or by anyone powerful enough, and I'm going to be like, but you guys are the numbers. You guys are meant to be the kind of wild card. We know nothing about you, and you pop up, you're these demonic looking things, and you just haven't lived up to your silhouettes at the moment. You don't look as cool as your silhouettes did. Anyway, Inuarashi and Nekomamushi, they tell the samurai to stand down, and then the musketeers and Whale Forest Guardians tell the two monarchs, hey, you two stand down. So Inuarashi and Nekomamushi stand down as the other Minks prepare to fight Jack and his host. I liked how Raizo tells Jack who he is, highlighting his failure once again in front of Kaido. He's like, hey, by the way, that was me. But also threatening him, kind of underlying threats, I think, with what's to come. He's like, I'm going to beat your ass, is basically what I feel he said. And with this, the Guardians and the Musketeers transform into their Sulong forms, which was crazy and all, but we didn't really get panels which showed their forms entirely or really gave us a good, solid look at their faces. I mean, we saw Shishilian, we saw Consulate, and we saw the other one, and we saw BB and Roddy, I think their names are. We see that their heads, but they're all kind of looking upwards in this demonic form. They get these crazy manes, but we didn't really get a good look exactly what they look like. Like, what does the rest of their body look like? With Carrot, we got to see her transformation entirely clear as day. It was awesome. In this chapter, like I said, we just got to see headshots of their transformations, which was awesome, but I wanted a little bit more. I've been waiting an entire week, and so has everybody else, for either Inuarashi or Nekomamushi to go Sulong, or anybody else to go Sulong, and I want to see more kind of distinction between their designs. I want to see how each of these guys actually looks like in their entirety, but that's not too much of an issue I have with this chapter in and of itself. I feel like that's yet to come. We'll see that in the coming chapter. With that, the Sulong force moves to attack Jack and his host, with Jack confident that he should be able to stop them. But I'm thinking Jack's in line for another ass whooping. I mean, he got clapped by Base, Inuarashi, and Nekomamushi. They were fighting kind of at different times of the day. These are some powerful mofos coming for his throat right now in Sulong form. These Minks, especially the Musketeers and the Whale Forest Guardians, these guys should, in their Sulong forms, they should be able to give Inuarashi and Nekomamushi a run for their money. So the fact that Jack's like really confident, he's like, hey, they won't be able to last very long. And that's something he seems to be aware of, actually. The fact that the Sulong form is transient and won't last for long. Maybe he's trying to outlast this initial attack and before he throws some power shots in return. But I really feel like Jack's overestimating himself yet again. Next scene, let's call it performance stage. We go back to the performance area where Shinobu makes a total flop. She makes a total, she makes a complete mess of rescuing Momonosuke. She gets clapped by King, only for Momo to be freed by a seemingly invisible man. Turns out your boy Sanji was actually waiting for the right time to save Momo and does so at this point. Only he's attacked by King. Sanji takes this moment to throw Momonosuke to Shinobu while telling Momonosuke how much of a badass he is for shouting out and owning his name. And I really like this part. It's about time someone ought to tell Momonosuke how much of a beast he looked like for doing that, and how how cool, how brave that was. And I really like the fact that Sanji, as someone who's been kind of struggling with his own identity, is the one to tell Momonosuke that. King assumes his full Pteranodon form transformation kind of thing, with his beak pressed directly into Sanji's stomach as he kind of plummets with Sanji down towards this building. And Sanji complains about how a gaping hole in his stomach would kill him, with King absolutely nailing him into that building I was speaking of, with Luffy watching in horror from a little ways away. And the weird thing here was, once again, I wasn't exactly sure what was going on. Sanji's behavior makes me think he was completely comfortable with taking that attack for some reason. Sanji's not a Deadpool type character. He's not the type who would kind of narrate over himself getting impaled, which is kind of what he does. He's like, oh no, a gaping hole would kill me. And King's like, I'm not going for a gaping hole. I'm going to try to split you in two. And Sanji's like, oh, no, please. And I'm just like, what the hell's going on here? Like, is Sanji trolling? Is he not? I don't really know what's going on. So in life or death situations, Sanji doesn't really joke around. So I get the feeling that Sanji either knows he'll be fine or how to tank the attack by King, or it was just a really weird scene. Anyway, meanwhile, Luffy is confronted by Big Mom. He orders Yamato to go take care of Momonosuke, which she accepts. You get this little bit where she's like, oh, I'm Odin, so I gotta take care of my son. And I was like, yeah, shut your ass. Like, I don't really care about you identifying as Odin. That's some bullshit. I don't really care about that. Big Mom fires off a move called Ikoku I was gonna say sovereignty in Japanese, but Ikoku sovereignty, which Luffy dodges, but he also realizes he can't go back up the Akazaya 9 without luring Big Mom towards them. So he has to either serve as a distraction or defeat Big Mom in order to allow them to fight against Kaido. Or the third option would be someone else takes his place in distracting Big Mom for a while. But then that means that he can't help the Akazaya 9 in their current situation with his advanced forms of Haki because Big Mom's getting in the way. Big Mom then calls upon Zeus, attempting to fry Luffy. I would have loved to have seen that. I think that would have been another kind of Eneru Face Part 2, where she realizes that lightning or any electric based attacks really won't damage Luffy too much, or even if they do at all, to be honest. I mean, apart from the heat maybe, but rubber is also a good insulator of that. Big Mom's there calling upon Zeus, only Zeus has quite literally been stolen away by Nami, who runs for her life while shouting at Zeus to pick an owner, her or Big Mom. And this is another part of the chapter where I'm just like, once again, Oda, I'm not too sure if I like this. I get that Big Mom is focusing on Luffy, but did Nami really just sneak up on Big Mom and rob Zeus from her yet again? I'm like, Big Mom is a Yonko, for heaven's sake, come on, man. Like, that's got to mean something. She's not someone who can be taken advantage of so easily. You can't just roll up to her, steal Zeus from her, and just walk out and be like, yep, ain't nobody noticed that. Ain't nobody see that. It could be the case that, yeah, maybe because Big Mom views Nami as such an insignificant threat, she just slipped by under the radar while she was focusing on Luffy and she took Zeus. But what about the eyes of Prometheus and Napoleon? Were they entirely focused on Luffy as well? They got 3 pairs of eyes between them, and no one noticed that Nami had rolled up to steal Zeus away. Even Zeus, who doesn't really seem to want to go with Nami at this point in time because he's afraid of Big Mom. So I just feel like there needs to be a sense of seriousness against the Yonko, which I think Oda kind of keeps flip-flopping on and flip-flopping between. Sometimes we get this, oh shit, this is what a Yonko feels like. This is insane. And then the other times it's like, oh, Nami can go and rob Zeus from Big Mom and it's all good. I'm just like, there needs to be a little bit of consistency here. I feel like I said, sometimes there's an instance of, the Yonko, they look more like godlike threats, where we think to ourselves, how the hell are we supposed to beat that? And then other times we see this, like, they don't seem to be the most vigilant people on the planet. Heck, if you could steal Zeus, Nami could have just rolled up, popped a Kairoseki or a sea stone handcuff in Big Mom's left ass cheek or something like that, and then just wait and see what Luffy would do to her, because she'd be there basically getting depowered by the Kairoseki. So I really didn't like that. I was just like, I'm not a fan. Big Mom then reclaims Zeus and looks to strike Nami down, only to get a full motorbike to the face as Frankie and Brooke run her over. Now, I'm not sure, once again, how I felt about this. On one hand, Frankie being so nonchalant and absolutely decking a Yonko is hilarious, and it looked awesome. It looked so cool. The manner in which he did it, he's like blasting tunes, he's whistling to himself, he's like, yeah, this is sick, and he's just like, oh, what the hell, did I just run over somebody? Just to complete the nonchalant nature of it, I was like, yeah, Frankie's a bit of a badass. The other part I liked was Brooke sliced apart Zeus, which I think means Zeus is basically dead at this point. This is another success for the old bag of bones. I thought that was pretty funny. But then you go back to my argument, my Yonko argument, and how they're not really kind of being a good representation of themselves. And you're like, really? Did did she just get floored by a freaking motorbike? And that was pretty much the end of the chapter. I'm really hoping we don't get another big mom amnesia moment where she turns into Olin. That would slow down the whole raid and add a huge player to the Straw Hat side. What I would prefer is to constantly be on the edge of my seat, to feel that fear for the Straw Hats and the Samurai because of the immense amount of danger they're in, and I cannot be asked for another Olin moment. So let me know what you guys thought of this chapter. For me, it wasn't the greatest. It wasn't the worst, but it just wasn't that good. Let me know what you guys thought of this chapter. Let me know what you guys thought of this review. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in a bit.